Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today's review comes from Trevose Golf Club in Cornwall. The golf club sits a little just outside of Padstow, which is North Cornwall. Trevose Golf Club is currently number 79 on Golf Month that is best golf courses in the UK, and is a regular feature on professional tours, especially the Legends Tour. The championship course is a par 72 and can play anything over 7,000 yards, but off the yellows, which is the tees that I was playing today, this is more like 6,200 yards. So on to the review then. On to the general feel and facilities. So I'm going to give this a score of 5 out of 5. This really is an impressive facility, immaculately presented and some stunning views from the clubhouse. It has a lot of all the amenities you would expect. It has a driving range, a very large putting area, a large chipping area, some practice nets. If I'm being really picky, the driving range is a bit small. So for any practice under about 180 yards, you're going to be absolutely fine. But for most golfers, you're probably not going to have the ability to warm up with your driver on the driving range. The club also has some on-site holiday homes, it has a paddle court, it also has a play area for the children, so the facilities are pretty faultless. I did find, whilst I was having a chat to the guy that was at the starting hut, that this is a family owned business, and I genuinely do get that feel that this is such a family environment. It feels really welcoming, so again, just feels really nice to go and play there. The course difficulty, I am going to give this a score of 3 out of 5. This course is hard. I'm not going to hide from that fact. There's some really tough holes, some very difficult shots, and especially when the conditions were difficult, I ended up playing into about a sort of 20-mile-an-hour wind in certain places, and you feel the whole way round that course because it is quite open, and that just makes that round even more tougher. Onto the condition. Considering the poor weather that we've had on the run up to March when I played, the course was actually in pretty good condition. So I'm going to give this a score of 4 out of 5. There was just the one temporary green on the first hole, there was some maintenance to hole 12, and there was a couple of waterlogged bunkers as you'll see on the video a bit later on. The tee boxes, the fairways, the greens were in absolutely mint condition, absolutely faultless. So considering, like I say, the conditions that we've had throughout the UK, this course holds up really well, and especially through a tough winter as well. The layout. If I'm perfectly honest, the front 9 is a little bit more interesting than the back 9, but don't let that put you off playing the back 9, it really is stunning. In numerous places around the course, you do get some beautiful views overlooking the sea, and this is again a great example of a link style course. There's some really challenging holes on this course, some really long par 4s, some in theory short par 3s, and some really nasty bunkers lying around this course which you will not want to find yourself in. So finally, onto the value. I am going to give this a score of 5, all things considered. My in-laws actually paid for this round as a birthday present, so it was 70 quid on the day. This is expensive for a round of golf, I do appreciate that, but if you are holidaying down here, Trevose has to be on your list of courses to play. This is one of the best courses I think I've ever played. I really had a great day, even though I was playing on my own. This really was a great birthday present. So this gives Trevose a score of 22 out of 25, but I am going to give another point. As this course is dog friendly, and I did this with Northampton a few months ago, so this is going to give you a score of 23 out of 25, so this is going to go straight to the top of the leaderboard and a thoroughly deserved score on that one. So if you have made it this far, please comment, please like, and obviously please subscribe to the channel for more golf reviews. I am going to show you my rounds now, so stick around and I'll talk you through each of the 18 holes. I hope you enjoy. Thanks again, guys. Hole 1, and to be honest, this is one of my favourite opening holes. I really struggle to think of a better looking opening hole. This is quite a long par 4 on the card, but it does play quite significantly downhill. The aim off the tee is to get as close to the fairway bunkers as possible. For most golfers this probably won't be in reach, especially in the winter, but for the longer hitters this is likely to come at about 250 to 280 yards away. The fairway does narrow down at this point, and if you are looking to get beyond, this is going to have to be a very accurate shot. The second shot also plays downhill, and probably from if you're in the middle of the fairway you will likely have a blind shot or a really sort of obstructed shot. On the day though, this was a temporary green, but the actual green looks to have a false front. I have included a photo of the actual green towards the end of this section. So I would recommend playing to the middle of the green. Being short probably isn't the end of the world, but any misses will likely leave you a tricky up and down, as there is a fall off area pretty much the entire way round the green. Hole 2 and another long par 4 here, but off the tee shot is raised from the fairway, so it does take a few yards off the hole. The difficulty here is that you're going to have to navigate past a few small fairway bunkers. The correct line is anything to the left hand side of the fairway. For the longer hitters you probably can take this on, but you're going to need to carry about 250 yards to a very narrow fairway. Playing alongside these bunkers will leave you no more than about 150 to 160 yards. The green is quite a generous size, but has quite a lot of danger all the way around it. There's 3 bunkers protecting the front and the sides, out of bounds to the back and out of bounds all the way down the left hand side, but that is quite a big miss to that left hand side. Again, just play the yardage to the middle of the green and this shouldn't cause you too much trouble. No big movement around this green, but due to its size you will have to factor that in because a 3-putt is likely to be on the cards. Hole 3, and only a short par 4 here, but believe me, this is one of the most evil par 3s I think I've ever played. You play completely over a valley, and anything that is missed to the right of the green will fall down a bit of a hill. There's also 2 bunkers protecting the right hand side. Anything a little bit too long again will fall down the back. So what I would do is play to the left hand side of this green. There is a bank that is going to feed the ball back into the green if you do hit that bank. The green does slope from front to back, so playing the yardage to the middle of the green will also allow for any misses either side. And depending where the pin is positioned, you will likely find yourself with an uphill putt. Hole 4, and a par 5 that doglegs 90 degrees to the left. For most golfers you're probably going to want to aim to the right hand side of this fairway bunker, just to keep this into play. For the longer hitters you probably can aim either a little bit to the left hand side or directly at them. The safe play here, as I mentioned, is to the right hand side, and then you've got 2 shots into the green. If you are going to have to lay up, I would recommend laying up to about 100 yards. This will give you the best gap in between the fairway bunkers. But if you are going to try and take it on in 2, this is a blind shot, so just be mindful of anything that is over to the left hand side will be a really difficult up and down. The green actually is a lot further to the right than it does seem, so you will have to factor that into your second shot if you're going for it in 2. The green itself has 2 tiers. The green slopes down towards the right hand side of this green as you approach it. If the pin is on the left hand side, this is quite a flat bit of the green, but if the pin is over to the right hand side of this hole, then it is going to be a really slippy putt all the way down to the right hand side of the green. Hole 5 and another par 4 here. Off the tee, this is actually quite a straightforward shot. You just have to find yourself in the fairway. There is very little trouble around. The second shot is where this hole becomes very difficult, and is no surprise as to why this is stroke index 2. You're likely going to be playing a long iron or even a fairway wood into this green, and the green does play to a raised green, so you're going to have to factor in at least half a club to allow for that elevation change. As this green is really small, I would almost treat this like a short par 5. almost can't see the benefit of going for this green just due to the nature of it. So just lay up to a comfortable yardage, and again just try and attack the green and then try and get up and down from there. A bogey here is actually a great result. This green has plenty of movement and does slope down to the right hand side of this green as you're approaching it. So you will find quite a bit of movement around a lot of these putts. Hole 6 and a short par 4 here. Again, the advantage is getting down as far the fairway as possible. There's actually no harm in playing just before the bunkers, as this will leave you no more than an iron shot into the green. Again, the green is a really difficult one to actually try and hit. There's quite a deep bunker to the right hand side of this green, and there's also a false front, so you're going to want to play either to the middle or to the back of the green on this one. I'd probably play the yardage to the back of the green just to factor in that the green is a little bit raised from the fairway. This green is actually quite a generous size, and anything around the green should leave you a fairly straightforward up and down. The green, if you're at the back portion, most putts are going to be pretty flat around this back portion of the green, so you won't find too much movement around there. Hole 7 and another really challenging par 4 here. This will require a very accurate tee shot to give you the best opportunity to get it into the green. You want to get as close to the fairway bunkers as possible. Now the fairway bunkers come at about 240 to 250 yards. I can certainly not recommend playing down the left hand side. This grass is completely evil and you will likely lose your ball in it. The approach to the shot again is a tricky one, similar to hole 5 where the green is raised and at quite a significant raise as well. The green has a significant false front and you're going to have to play at least the yardage to the back of the green just to allow for where the pin might be or allow for that elevation change. Anything short will likely roll off the green, or you'll either find yourself in the 2 bunkers that are protecting the front of the green. As I mentioned, the green is pretty spacious and the best miss is going to be long or left here. Anything to the right hand side will likely be lost, and the back portion of the green is pretty flat the whole way around. Hole 8, and on the card a fairly straightforward par 3. However, this is not the case when you get to the tee box. This hole is completely surrounded by trouble. If you miss the green right, you're likely going to find yourself in thick grass or in the stream that runs down the right hand side. The miss actually is over to the left hand side of this green. There is a bunker on the left hand side, but I would actually take aim at that bunker and try and bring it in a little bit off that bunker. You want to try and play the yardage to the back of the green. There is a bank to the back of the green, so anything that is hit a little bit too long, that will act like a bit of a backstop and stop your ball from going too long. The green plays like an upturn down saucer, so you should find an uphill putt from most angles. Hole 9 and a very long par 5 on the cards. However, off the tee it does play quite a lot downhill, so you will have to navigate past 3 fairway bunkers, and these go sort of diagonally across the fairway. For the shorter hitters, you're probably going to want to lay up in between the first and second bunker. For the longer hitters, you could likely take on the second, if not the third bunker. If you're laying up short, again, you're going to want to lay up to about 70 to 120 yards. There are 2 fairway bunkers and the fairway is very narrow around that 100-yard mark. But if you are going to go for this green in 2, the miss is actually up the bank on the right hand side. Anything over to the left hand side will likely be playing down a hill and leave you a very tricky up and down. The green again is another one that is raised from the fairway, so you're likely going to need at least half a club, if not a whole club, to make that elevation change. Once you do get to the green though, the green does slope from right to left as you're approaching the green. However, you won't find too much movement around this green. Hole 10 and another par 5. This time you are playing slightly downhill off the tee. The aim here is to get as close to the water as possible. This should come at about 290 to 230 yards, so for most golfers this will be out of reach. Anything close to this water will leave about 170 to 180 yards into the green. You will have to be mindful though of the water that runs down the right hand side of the fairway, so you're best to aim down the left hand side. For the approach shot to the green, I'd recommend playing to the middle of the green on this one. This green is pretty generous and still has quite a bit of room around the outside. There is 2 levels to this green, with the left hand side as you approach the green being the higher of the 2. Be prepared for some movement as there is quite a few undulations within those tiers as well. Hole 11 and a good length par 3 at roughly 180 yards. The green is a pretty big green. It does have 3 bunkers protecting the front, 2 down the left hand side and 1 on the right hand side. I would recommend playing to the back of the green on this one just to avoid all the trouble. There is a water hazard that runs across the front of the hole, or across the front of the green, and this green has a number of undulations, so again do expect some movement across the putts. The green has a slight slope down towards the front left of this green. Hole 12 and a really long par 4 here, and no surprises with its stroke index 1. This is mainly down to its length. The aim here is to get as close or past the fairway bunkers that you can see in front of you as possible. The first one coming at roughly 200 yards and the second one at roughly 240 yards. If you're on one of the longer hitters, I'd almost treat this like a par 5, as then you will get at least 1 shot on this hole. So lay up to a comfortable yardage and again approach the green as you would do from your favourite club. Once you do get to the green though, this is quite a spacious green again, and you do have quite a lot of space around it, so if you do miss the green, again probably not going to be the end of the world. Too long or too left will likely be out of bounds, so miss anything to the right and that should give you a good chance of getting up and down. The green slopes from back to front, and again you will have some movement across all of the putts around this green. Hole 13 and a long par 5 again, but this does play downhill. For most golfers, you're going to want to keep the tee shot under 230 yards. This will miss 2 of the 3 fairway bunkers, and this does make the fairway really narrow the further you get down. The longer hitters, you probably can take this on, and you will want to try and get as far down as possible. The main problem here is that out of bounds is all the way down the left of this hole, and there's long grass all the way down the right, so an accurate tee shot is needed for this hole. The second shot, again, you're just left with an option of laying up here, so give yourself the room to find yourself a comfortable yardage into this green. There is some nasty bunkers protecting the front of this green, and as I mentioned, out of bounds all down the left, so again just play short, and this should leave you about 100 yards into the green if you do play short of the bunkers. The green itself has some quite significant undulations, and all balls will pretty much feed to the right hand side of this green, so pace control here is going to be really important to get down for 2. Hole 14, and actually quite a short par 4 here, but seriously don't be fooled into thinking that you can just go in and overpower it. The bushes down the left hand side make the tee shot actually really difficult. It really does narrow in that fairway. So I would recommend laying up before the bunker. that you'll see in the distance, and that is roughly about 200 yards. This should leave no more than about 130 yards into the green, but your approach shot here is going to have to be really accurate. I would aim for the back of the green. Anything short will likely find one of about 5 bunkers that protects the front of this green. Once you do get to the green though, you will find that the green has a bit of movement from right to left. However, you shouldn't find too much movement across many of the putts here. Hole 15, and a short par 3 that plays fairly similarly to hole 14. Off the tee though, all you're trying to do is set yourself up for the second shot. The safe play here is aiming for the middle of the fairway, and you'll see some bunkers down the right hand side, so pick the middle one of those bunkers as you're lying. Ideally playing about 200 yards, as this should give you roughly the biggest margin for error. This leaves about 100-110 yards into the green. Going anything further will likely just bring the bunkers more into play. The approach to the green should be played to the middle of the green, and this will give you also the widest part of the green, so any slight miss here probably won't punish you too badly. The green has a bit of a lip at the back and does slope gently down from the back of the green to the front, and again, you're probably not going to find too much movement around these putts. Hole 16, and the longest par 3 on the course. There is 3 small bunkers protecting the front of this green, so play the yardage to the back of the green again just to avoid all the trouble. This green isn't particularly big, but there is a bit of space around this green, so anything missed again probably won't be too damaging. The green slopes down towards the back right of this green, and a bogey here actually isn't a bad result. If you are playing off the slightly longer tees, this could be anything up to 230 yards, so this is actually quite a tough hole. Hole 17, and probably the toughest par 4 on the course, especially if you struggle to hit any longer than about 230 yards. This fairway is unbelievably narrow in that first bit. So there's 3 bunkers on the right hand side of this fairway and thick grass all the way down the left hand side. For the longer hitters, again, you can get past these bunkers and shouldn't give you no problems, and the fairway does widen actually at this point. If you can't reach 230 yards, again just lay up short of the bunkers and then lay up before the stream that's running across the front of the green. For the approach to this green, again just take enough club to get to at least the middle of the green. There is quite a lot of trouble around this green, as I mentioned, the water, and there's only 1 bunker on the right hand side. The green is angled diagonally up to the right, but once you get there it is pretty flat, and if anything it does have a bit of a slope down towards the front of the green, but again you're probably not going to notice too much movement around the putts here. Hole 18, and another really long tough par 4 to finish off with. Another long drive is needed here, and this will give you the best opportunity at going for the green in 2. The perfect tee shot will need to carry at least 210 yards, as this will clear the fairway bunker on the right hand side. Something just to be mindful of though, the fairway does slope from right to left, and this will likely move your ball over to the left hand side of this fairway. For the approach shot, again this green plays above you from the fairway, so you're going to need to take at least 1 more club just to allow for that difference. I would play at least the club that's going to get you to the back of the green. All the trouble is short, and there's 3 bunkers sitting at the front there just waiting for your ball. There is a bank to the right hand side of this green, so again if you can aim to the right hand side, again this should help filter that ball down into the green. The green has a few undulations, so do expect a bit of movement, but the green does have a gentle slope down towards the left hand side of this green.